She boarded the plane with the calm authority of a CEO, her first-class ticket in hand, only to find a white passenger in her seat. Moments later, the flight was grounded, and the truth about her power came into sharp focus. Her name was Dr. Vanessa Coleman, a 42-year-old Black woman who had built a tech empire from the ground up. As the CEO of Horizon Innovations, a cybersecurity firm valued at over $2 billion, she was used to navigating challenges with precision and grace. On a crisp October morning in 2024, she boarded Flight 317 from San Francisco to New York, her first-class boarding pass scanned without issue. Vanessa was dressed in a tailored navy blazer and slacks, her hair pulled back in a sleek bun, her presence commanding yet understated. She was heading to a conference where she was the keynote speaker, a role she had earned through years of relentless work and overcoming barriers that most could only imagine. As she reached her seat, 2A, a window seat she had specifically chosen for the cross-country flight, she found a man already settled there. He was in his late 50s, white, with a pressed dress shirt and a briefcase at his feet. His posture suggested he belonged there, his eyes fixed on his phone as if unaware of her approach. Vanessa paused, checking her boarding pass to confirm, though she already knew she was in the right place. "Excuse me," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I believe you're in my seat." The man looked up, his expression a mix of surprise and irritation. "This is my seat," he said, his tone clipped. "I'm settled here. You must be mistaken." He waved a hand dismissively, returning to his phone. Vanessa's jaw tightened, but she kept her composure. She had faced situations like this before, moments where her presence, her authority, was questioned without reason. "My boarding pass says 2A, she said, holding it out for him to see. "That's this seat." The man barely glanced at it. "Look, I'm not moving," he said, his voice louder now, drawing the attention of nearby passengers. "I paid for first class, and I'm staying here. Find another seat." A flight attendant, a young woman with a nervous smile, approached quickly. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, her eyes darting between Vanessa and the man. "Yes," Vanessa said, her voice steady. "This gentleman is in my seat, 2A. I'd like to sit where I'm assigned." The man scoffed, leaning back in the seat. "I've been flying this route for years," he said, addressing the flight attendant as if Vanessa wasn't there. "I always get a window seat. She's probably got the wrong ticket." Vanessa felt the familiar sting of being dismissed, but she held her ground. "My ticket is correct," she said, handing it to the flight attendant. "Can you please check?" The flight attendant glanced at the boarding pass, then at the man's ticket, which he reluctantly produced. Her face flushed slightly as she confirmed, "Ma'am, you're correct. This is your seat, 2A. Sir, your ticket is for 4C, an aisle seat." The man's expression hardened. "This is ridiculous," he said, his voice rising. "I'm not moving. I'm a platinum member with this airline. Do you know how much I spend with you people every year?" He leaned forward, pointing a finger at the flight attendant. "You need to fix this. Now." The flight attendant hesitated, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. Vanessa could see the calculation in her expression, the pressure to appease a frequent flyer versus the clear evidence of the boarding passes. Other passengers were watching now, some whispering, others craning their necks to get a better view. Vanessa stood tall, her arms crossed, her face a mask of calm determination. She wasn't new to this kind of confrontation, but that didn't make it any less exhausting. "Sir," the flight attendant said, her voice softer now, "I'm sorry, but you'll need to move to your assigned seat. This is Ms. Coleman's seat." The man's face reddened. "This is absurd," he snapped. "I'm not going to be pushed around by—" He stopped himself, but the implication hung in the air, heavy and unmistakable. Vanessa's eyes narrowed, but she didn't respond. She didn't need to. Her presence, her poise, spoke louder than any words could. At that moment, another voice cut through the tension. "What's the holdup here?" It was the captain, a tall man in his 50s with a no-nonsense demeanor, stepping out from the cockpit. The flight attendant quickly explained the situation, showing him both boarding passes. The captain's eyes flicked to Vanessa, then to the man in her seat. "Sir," the captain said, his tone leaving no room for argument, "you're in the wrong seat. Move to 4C, or you'll be escorted off the plane." The man opened his mouth to protest, but the captain's stare silenced him. Muttering under his breath, he gathered his briefcase and stood, brushing past Vanessa, without looking at her. He moved to 4C, still grumbling, while Vanessa took her rightful seat. She settled in, placing her laptop bag under the seat in front of her, her movements deliberate and composed. The flight attendant offered an apologetic smile, but Vanessa just nodded, her focus already shifting to the work she needed to prepare for the conference. The plane began to taxi, the hum of the engines filling the cabin. Vanessa opened her laptop, reviewing her keynote speech, but her thoughts were interrupted by an announcement over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We're experiencing a brief delay and will be returning to the gate. Please remain seated." Murmurs rippled through the cabin. Vanessa glanced out the window, noticing the plane slowing as it turned back toward the terminal. She caught the eye of the flight attendant, who looked flustered but said nothing. Minutes later, the plane came to a stop, and the jet bridge reconnected to the aircraft. The captain emerged from the cockpit again, this time accompanied by 2 airport security officers. The captain's voice was calm but firm. "Mr. Richard Ellis, please gather your belongings and come with us." The man in 4C, Richard, apparently, stood, his face a mix of confusion and indignation. "What's this about?" he demanded, his voice carrying through the cabin. "I moved to my seat, didn't I?" The captain didn't respond, but one of the security officers stepped forward. "Sir, you're being removed from this flight due to disruptive behavior and failure to comply with crew instructions. Let's make this easy." Richard's mouth fell open. "Disruptive? I didn't do anything. This is because of her, isn't it?" He pointed at Vanessa, his voice laced with accusation. "She's making a scene, and I'm the one getting kicked off." Vanessa didn't flinch. She met his gaze, her expression unyielding. The other passengers were silent now, some looking away, others watching with a mix of curiosity and discomfort. The security officers moved closer, and Richard had no choice but to grab his briefcase and follow them down the aisle. As he passed Vanessa's seat, he muttered something under his breath, but she didn't react. She had dealt with men like him before, men who saw her as less, who assumed their privilege trumped her rights. The cabin remained quiet as the jet bridge door closed behind him. The captain returned to the cockpit, and the flight attendant made another announcement, assuring passengers that the flight would resume shortly. Vanessa returned to her laptop, her fingers steady as she typed, but her mind was racing. She knew this wasn't just about a seat. It was about the assumptions people made about her. The way her race, her gender, her very existence seemed to invite challenge. But she also knew her worth, her power, and the empire she had built despite those challenges. As the plane finally took off, a woman in the seat across the aisle leaned over. She was older, with gray hair and a kind smile. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," she said quietly. "You handled it with such grace." Vanessa nodded, offering a small smile. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I'm used to it." The woman's eyes lingered on her, a mix of admiration and sadness. "You shouldn't have to be," she said before turning back to her book. The flight continued without further incident, and Vanessa used the time to refine her keynote speech. She was speaking at the Global Tech Summit, a prestigious event attended by industry leaders, investors, and policymakers. Her topic was cybersecurity in the age of AI, a field where Horizon Innovations was a trailblazer. Vanessa's company had developed cutting-edge software that protected corporations and governments from increasingly sophisticated cyber threats. Her journey to this point had been anything but easy. A Black woman in a male-dominated, predominantly white industry, she had faced skepticism, exclusion, and outright hostility. Yet she had persevered, earning a PhD in computer science from MIT, founding her company at 28, and growing it into a powerhouse that employed hundreds and served clients worldwide. When the plane landed at JFK, Vanessa gathered her belongings and disembarked, her mind already on the conference. She didn't dwell on the incident with Richard, though it lingered in the back of her thoughts. She had learned long ago to compartmentalize these moments, to focus on what she could control. As she walked through the terminal, her phone buzzed with a notification from the airline. It was an email, apologizing for the inconvenience and offering her a voucher for a future flight. She deleted it without responding. She didn't need their apologies. She needed the world to change. At the conference, Vanessa's keynote was a triumph. She spoke with authority, weaving data and real-world examples into a compelling case for stronger cybersecurity measures. The audience, over 1,000 people, from tech executives to government officials, listened intently, applauding when she finished. Afterward, she fielded questions from reporters and networked with industry peers, her confidence unshaken by the morning's events. But the story of Flight 317 didn't end with her speech. A passenger from the flight, a young woman who had recorded the confrontation on her phone, posted the video online. It spread quickly, amassing millions of views within hours. The clip showed Richard's refusal to move, his dismissive tone, and the captain's decisive intervention. Comments poured in, some praising Vanessa's composure, others condemning Richard's behavior, and many calling out the deeper issues of race and entitlement the incident exposed. By the next morning, the video had caught the attention of major news outlets. Reporters reached out to Vanessa, asking for her comment. She declined interviews, letting the video speak for itself. She didn't want to be defined by this moment, didn't want her career reduced to a viral clip. But she couldn't ignore the impact. Messages flooded her inbox, some from strangers offering support, others from Black women in tech who saw their own experiences in hers. One email from a young engineer named Maya stood out. "I saw what happened on that flight, and I just wanted to say thank you. You showed me what it means to stand tall." Vanessa read the message twice, her throat tightening. She thought back to her own mentors, the Black women who had paved the way for her, and the countless others who faced similar battles daily. She replied to Maya, encouraging her to keep pushing forward, to never let anyone make her feel small. It was a small gesture, but it mattered. In the weeks that followed, the airline issued a public statement, reaffirming their commitment to passenger respect and equality. Richard's name appeared in a few articles, identifying him as a mid-level executive at a financial firm. His company released a brief statement distancing itself from his actions, and rumors circulated that he faced internal consequences. Vanessa didn't follow the story closely. She was too busy running her company, meeting with clients, and mentoring the next generation of tech leaders. But the incident stayed with her, not as a wound, but as a reminder. It was a reminder of the strength it took to navigate a world that often tried to diminish her. It was a reminder of the power she held, not just as a CEO, but as a woman who refused to be moved from her rightful place. And it was a reminder that change, however slow, was possible, one seat, one flight, one story at a time. Vanessa continued to lead Horizon Innovations, her vision undeterred. She expanded her company's outreach programs, creating scholarships for underrepresented students in STEM. She spoke at more conferences, not about the flight, but about the future of technology and the importance of diversity in shaping it. Her story, and the video that captured it, became a touchstone for conversations about respect, privilege, and accountability. For Vanessa, the incident was just one moment in a life defined by resilience. She had built an empire, not by avoiding challenges, but by facing them head-on. And as she sat in her office, overlooking the San Francisco skyline, she knew that no one, not a rude passenger, not a dismissive glance, could take that